We're coming for you. There we go. We're live. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday.
Rise and shine, everyone.
Excellent. It's been a beautiful week in southwestern Ontario here. As you can see, we're back at home. Actually, there's a new plant up there. So we had a great time. You know, we've been traveling. We weren't able to do our last week's show because we just didn't have any reception.
We did not, but we were at the investor campaign, second annual, become a tradition. And in the last count, we had close to 50 investors and over 6 furry friends, because Diana Supremo, who helped us coordinate, she kind of tallied the numbers, and it was amazing, the response that we had.
Yeah, it was a great time. A lot of kids came out, a lot of our investor friends' kids came out. So this was an investor camping weekend. We were at Awenda Provincial Park in just about 2 hours from Toronto. It was a great time. We had great weather, lots of great friendships, and just connecting with one another. So it was awesome. Before that, we were in Halifax. We were at Nick Scalco's house. Nick Scalco's is a real estate investor extraordinaire. He's done amazing things in Ontario. And him and I say Nick Scalco's house. I forgot about
Sarah LaRue,
Yeah.
Nick's and Sarah.
Shame on me. We were at their house. They moved from Ontario a couple of years ago to Halifax. They're about 20 minutes from Halifax, 20 minutes from Peggy's Cove.
Beautiful location, and definitely a beautiful province if you haven't had time to check it out.
And we have to go back because we were
Yes.
only there for about 3 days.
Doesn't do justice.
Doesn't
Need
do
more
justice.
time.
But they have a beautiful house on a beautiful lake, and they're so close to everything. Definitely go and visit out Halifax. Lots of real estate opportunities out there, as we learned.
Yes.
We had a great time with our friends King and Yearney, who are also beautiful people and real estate investors. And then we traveled back. We picked up our good friend and business partner Lillian Ding, and from St. John, New Brunswick. We had a meetup there with investors.
That's right. We had an investor meetup, and then we decided to do a, kind of leisure break, pit stop in Quebec City.
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, we love Quebec City, so we had to stop there. Lillian hadn't been there before. The architecture and the history there is just amazing, and the vibrant, just being down there by the old port and in the old city. And then we came home and almost went straight to that camping trip. So yeah, as you know, follow us on our social media accounts, because we have more meetups coming up this summer.
100%.
I think there's 2 or 3 in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that sort of thing.
We just attended a few this week as well, including a summer bash, which was a success
Out in Burlington.
Yeah,
that was great. It's a great job. They put on a great show. We had a lot of fun, a lot of great speakers out there as well.
Yes, 100%. And it's all about connecting and expanding your network, right? Sometimes we find our connection, our way into the investing world, but it is about that expansion, and the expansion is about making connections, because there are different strategies or different ways to look at it. And you do that just by expanding yourself and going to reach out to others investors.
And there's so much going on. We forgot to mention that we hosted our own event on Thursday near Hyde Park. It was a pre-construction condo sales office. We were able to hold it in. We had representatives from the developer, the marketing group. The mortgage broker came and spoke about the amazing way that she can hold rates for these guys in this environment. So that was pretty incredible up until closing. You don't hear that very often. So a great event. We had wine and cheese for everybody. We went out to another pub near the waterfront after that. So again, reach out to us, follow us. These types of events we love putting on, and just being around amazing people. Speaking of amazing people,
we're going to bring our friends from the Referral Realty Network, Mike Seal and Natasha Phipps.
Yeah,
our specialty in the Calgary market. So
they're both always staying very busy. I think Mike Seal is going to be coming on shortly. There he is.
Hey, how are you guys?
We're doing great, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks.
Was I late to the party?
No, you were just camera shy. But great to see you, Natasha. Good morning. You are a Calgarian, but you're not in Calgary right now. Where are you hiding out?
No, we're hiding out in the Okanagan right now with the family. So not my normal office background, but hopefully this works. Yeah, my son's here for hockey camp this week, so it's a good place to hang out for the week. Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Mhm.
Well,
And checking out real estate, of course.
and hopefully a vineyard or two, because that's what you do in
Absolutely.
Okanagan Valley.
Absolutely.
And Mike, how's your weekend been? Have you been keeping busy?
Very busy. We're busy. Windsor's market's really active right now. So it's been a handful, that's for sure.
Awesome. And are you finding the so close to the border there, Mike, that you get a lot of American interest in Windsor as well?
We used to get a lot of American interest, but with the sustainment on foreign buyers,
Yeah.
that's kind of alleviated a little bit of that. But remember, Windsor is situated in a place where we get a lot of cross-border workers. People living in Canada and work in the States, so they're Canadian, they live here, they work there, or vice versa. They're from the States and they work over here, especially in the tech industries and stuff like that.
Yeah, Windsor's built big for that. Well, Mike, before we get to Natasha here to give us an update, not on the Okanagan market, but on the Calgary market, Mike, can you tell us what this amazing thing called Referral Network Realty is that is going on?
Yeah, so Referral Network Realty is a go-to place for real estate investors. It gives them an opportunity to work with top investor-focused realtors all across North America. We've gone out over the last decade and found realtors in all of the niche markets across Canada and the United States, so that when an investor is ready to build their team in a specific area, that they can get a head start by working with our organization. So Natasha is actually our realtor, been our realtor now for a decade.
Been a while.
Calgary market starting to like now we're starting to tell everybody how old we are. It starts to get tough. So
That's awesome.
I'll leave it up to her to tell you guys a little bit about Calgary and why it's such a fantastic place for people to invest right now.
Awesome. Okay, great, Natasha. Yes, please do. What's going on in Calgary?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here again, as always. Calgary we've had just quite a year. We're struggling with a lot of the same things other cities are in terms of inventory. June specifically was the lowest inventory in Calgary in over 20 years. So it's a real struggle right now on the rental side. If someone is looking for a place to rent, rents are super high, very, very challenging, demanding space for renters trying to get in because inventory is so low. And then even on the sales side, it's not that much better. And so what we're seeing, given the low inventory, is prices, going up and up and up. And that is where Calgary, I think, is standing out a little bit from the rest of the country in some ways, is even though we're seeing high interest rates and that continues to be a problem, the growth that Calgary is seeing is really keeping the market very hot. So the amount of people coming in is outweighing the maybe negative impacts we might see due to high interest rates. So prices are continuing to go up, and I don't really see that slowing down anytime soon. The average price of a detached home now is approaching $700,000 in Calgary. So that's a significant change from where we were a couple years ago. And then the one thing that's really interesting that I kind of did predict over a year ago, we're just starting to see this now, is the demand for condos is really finally hot.
Taking charge, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Calgary condo market was just, really, really obliterated when we went through the recession here in Alberta. And because of rising prices, people's,
Condos become the affordable point.
Exactly. Yeah. Townhouses and condos. And so now our supply, even in the apartment sector, is extremely low. So it's low across the board. Doesn't matter. Now, average price condo is still around 300,000. So still affordable compared to the rest of, the country in many areas. So we're still seeing very, very good demand.
There are a lot of building going on for constructions right now.
Tons of construction.
For condos, sorry, for condos.
Yeah, there's just, cranes in the sky for sure everywhere. And, large scale projects, small projects, the kind of infill small developers are just flocking to Calgary right now. So lots going on, which is really exciting. But like everywhere, the challenge for investors is cash flow. And so having to shift your perspective right now as to why you're buying and can that make sense for you, for sure, because obviously interest rates are just such a challenge.
Well, one thing that I think Alberta's been focusing on it for the past few years is not shifting away from oil, but embracing other sectors, so that when there is the bust that Alberta has seen many times in the past, it might soften a little bit, because I know the tech sector is strong in there. A lot of the financial companies are starting to bring back their presence there as well. So hopefully that's
100%.
something.
This feels a lot more stable. Like previous kind of booms, it was like, hurry up and make your money, because who knows where we're going. And this feels very different because there's so much diversification. It doesn't feel like that house of cards. And it's, from medical and life science and research and the financial and the tech, and we're building airplanes now east of Calgary, and all kinds of different corporations making Calgary home. So yeah, it feels a lot more sustainable in terms of the growth that we're seeing, which of course for investors reduces risk, right? So that's all good news for Calgary for sure. And then landlord laws in Alberta, you can't forget that either.
That's very true.
Yeah, very
That's
much
our
so.
favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much more balanced there, for sure. And we've mentioned on the show before earlier this year a couple of times that the CMHC housing report that comes out, I think in February, it mentioned that the Edmonton to Calgary corridor is going to be one of the most benefiting corridor areas in Canada, with the immigration that's coming over and the focus that Alberta is having on other sectors. So that it's going to be a great place to invest, I feel, over the next few years for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely we'll keep in the comment section on how to get in touch with Natasha and Mike, and how to learn more about opportunities for investors. It's a great place and a lot of fun, because you guys were just at the Stampede as well.
Yeah, we had a great time at Stampede. There were so many investors in Calgary, so it was really good to see.
That's awesome.
We were having FOMO for sure. So we'll be there
Next year.
2024, Stampede 2024.
Awesome.
Okay. My bucket list.
It's already in the works.
Awesome.
Well, have a wonderful week, guys. Thank you so much for coming up. Really appreciate Natasha, Mike, all the best, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, we'll see you later.
Have a good show.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and then that brings in our next guest here.
Yes, Tyson George.
Yeah, it's summertime. Kids are out of school. They're hopefully not playing video games because the weather's beautiful, and hopefully you kids that are home now, you're studying about real estate investing. And Tyson is just one of these amazing kids. He's a Keyspire member along with Irismar I, and he's just done some amazing things. So welcome, Tyson. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Now, where are you based out of, Tyson? What city are you in?
So I'm in London, Ontario.
All right. Homebred there? That's where you're born and raised?
Born and raised.
Awesome. And tell us about
you. For those that don't know you, tell us a little about you, and when did you start your journey in real estate investing? Because I think that's key.
Yeah. So right now I'm 20 years old, and I started get with my first property at the age of 15. And for those of you who don't know me, kind of how my journey started was at a young age. I got into buying and selling. My grandpa, he's always been an entrepreneur, and he kind of got me into buying and selling. So at
buying
the
and
age
selling
of
homes, or buying and selling?
No. Buying and selling anything really. It can be dressers, MacBooks, iPhones, fridges, pretty much anything. So at the age of 9, I would go to garage sales and auctions pretty much every week, and I would basically just buy low and sell for more. And at the age of 11, 12 years old, I started to save a good amount of money. I had $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 saved, but I didn't really know what to save it for. And I spoke to a gentleman in London who recommended I save for real estate, because by the time I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, I could have a little nest egg for myself. So that's exactly what I did. Is at that early age, I made it a goal to get into real estate as early as I could. So I kept buying and selling. I live in London, so we have Western University and Fanshawe College. So in May, when all the students move out, I would go around and pick up all the stuff that they were throwing out. all the fridges, dressers, bedroom sets, and I would basically just flip them and resell them. Or sometimes I'd even sell it back to them in August when they moved back to Western. And then at age 15, I had 25,000 saved, which was enough for a down payment on a property. And then kind of went on from there.
That's amazing. Wow. And what were your friends thinking at this time? They're looking at you and you're doing all this work and they're doing video games or sports or whatever.
A lot of them thought it was really cool. Some of them got into the buying and selling for a short period of time, but then got back out of it. But
Right on.
yeah, no, they all thought it was really cool and they were all for it. When I bought my first property at 15, a lot of them were like, holy crap, no way. But
And were you
yeah.
watching were you watching one of these shows on TV, on HGTV that showed you how to do these flips or these buying or?
What it really was, so my goal at the beginning was just if I could buy one property as early as I could, then by the time I'm, 30, 40 years old, it can be paid off by my tenants. And then I would have that paid off property and I would just be making the cash flow every month. So at the beginning, that's just what my whole goal was. It was never to buy multiple properties or even to grow from that. It was just if I could have, 1, 2 properties, then I'd be set.
And what kind of property was that first one?
So it was a single family townhouse in London.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And did your parents think that you were going crazy doing this or what?
So my mom was a little skeptical at first because she's a realtor as well, and she's seen the market up and down, and she's seen the type of risks that are involved with real estate. And my dad, though, since he was younger, he's always wanted to buy properties when he was younger, so he was all for it. And so they kind of both came on board. So yeah,
Right
they were
on.
good. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you've taken your journey from not only being an entrepreneurial, really pivoting and setting that goal and getting your first property. Where are you at now in your portfolio?
Yeah, so now I have 8 single family places in London, 6 townhouses and 2 houses, and one of the houses is a duplex. And then in Brantford, I have part of a 24-unit building through joint venture. And then in Curacao, 42 units there that I'm part owner of as well.
Incredible. So
And you're only 22.
20.
20.
20,
Yeah.
not even 22. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, what was the what made you want to say move into multiple units? You said you were just looking for the cash flow of this one and pay it off and living off that. What made you want to scale up?
Well, at first, my whole thought was you just have to save up for the down payment every time. So my thought was by the time I try to save up for down payment each time, it'll take a while. But I got to know some KeySpire members who had taught me smarter ways to buy properties without using your own money, which was through private lending. So once I kind of found out smarter ways to buy properties and how you could really make a living out of this and how you could have more than one and really grow, then I was like, I'm on board.
Right on.
That's how it
Okay.
happened.
And you've been a KeySpire member since when?
So I am not a KeySpire member.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
I know a lot of the people in KeySpire just from going to all the different events, and
We see
yeah.
each other at all of them, so I assume.
yeah, no, exactly. So I try to stay involved because I'm a big believer of you become who you surround yourself with. So I always try to surround myself with people doing more than me or people who are doing what I want to do in the future. So
Right
try
on.
to
That is
go
beautiful, because we started the session with saying you have to constantly expand your network in order to share knowledge or acquire knowledge. And what a testament, like for you sharing that. You're not part of our community that we belong to, but yet you have been a constant pillar in all of our networks. And we have a lot
100%.
of friends in common, so that's beautiful.
No, and it's an amazing community. Even just everyone helps each other. Everyone's so supportive, and even like how I told you, I just went to Calgary and hung out with Deanna, and it's like no matter where I go, there's friends all over.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's we've learned that as well, and that's why we exhaust ourselves driving across the country, meeting all these great investors. But Tyson, we were talking about at the beginning of the show here that a lot of students they're out of school right now for the summer break. We're more than halfway through July. If they want to kind of follow your footsteps and that sort of thing, what should they be looking at doing right now in terms of getting learning more about real estate investing?
So honestly, for me, a lot of it is just getting out there, looking at people who have done it and just trying to learn as much as you can from them. I'm trying to remember the analogy someone once told me. It was, in order to build a house, you need a 6-foot foundation, and then you build your house on top of it. In order to build the Empire State Building, you first have to dig a really deep hole and have a really strong foundation, and then you can build the Empire State Building on top of it. Now, what someone told me was that a lot of people want to build the Empire State Building of wealth with the foundation of a house. And so for me, it's strong, or it's always been a thing where you really, really got to learn as much as you can, absorb as much information as you can. A lot of people always make fun of me in a way, but I always ask a ton of questions. Even growing up, age 13, 14, I'd ask my friends' parents what they owe on their mortgage, or do they have a line of credit? And like, I would always ask a million questions. And that's honestly how I learned so much. And
Right on.
Your first property is definitely the hardest to get. I'm sure most real estate investors would agree, or they'll even say your first million is the hardest to hit, but after that, it gets a lot easier. But honestly, just starting, or just putting yourself out there, going to events. Even now, I still learn so much just from going to events or meetups, because it's all like-minded people who all have the same end goal. So yeah.
It's amazing. And Tyson, you reached out because you saw that Irismar I, we've been bringing our nephew and trying to get our niece out to these things as well. Our nephew's 14 years old, so he's come out to a few events, and just trying to surround him with these people, and then the knowledge, and hopefully it slowly permeates in there, and then at one point he says, "I'm going to be like Tyson."
No, that's awesome. Well, and even too, like growing up, because people always ask me, well, were you like, if you were so focused on buying and selling, what about your childhood? And I'm a big believer, even still nowadays, on honestly just having a good balance. So it wasn't like I was, spending every single night, buying and selling and going to auction garage shows. That wasn't my life. It was more, instead of playing 4 hours of video games, I would spend 2 hours and spend the other 2 going out and doing stuff. Or instead of, sleeping until noon on a Saturday, I'd be up at 6 a.m. to go to garage sales. So just always having a balance as well has been a big, especially being younger, has been huge for me.
Yeah, Irismar and I, we've just want to be great investors, and we want to balance that with fun as well. We believe, just having a great time with these beautiful people out here, and learning from them, and having a good laugh. It keeps us young and youthful. Maybe not as youthful as you, Tyson, but I feel that youthful.
Yeah, no, I think it was great on how you were able to not only share your journey, but to the audience right now, bringing that perspective that is about having balance. You never compromised your childhood, yet you had great leaders, and your grandfather and your parents supporting you to take you on that journey. And if someone out there doesn't have that, kind of reach out to someone in the community, or even to you, Tyson. I know you're very open to have a conversation, just guide someone if they're a little bit stuck. But I think the main thing that you said, and I love it, because I think it's being curious. You said you ask a lot of questions, but I think for me, I see that as having curiosity. From a place of being curious, then you ask more questions and you learn more. And as much as some people might think, not in the real estate investing world, but the questions that you were asking were a little bit too personal, because that was our old mindset. It goes to show that you already had a great financial literacy at that point. And that's something else that we need to encourage within our communities, that the more that we speak or expose the teams out there into our world, then they would have a better education and take it from there.
Well, and it's even kind of funny too, because I have someone who actually just reached out to me about 4 days ago, someone who's my age, and they've spent the last 4 years, I've had them on Snapchat, but I didn't really know who they are, but they kind of followed my journey for the last 4 years. And a week ago, they reached out to me saying, "Hey, I want to get into real estate investing. I've been following your journey, but I've always been scared to message you." They said, "For years, I've wanted to message you, but I've always been afraid because you've done all this stuff, and I thought you'd be too busy or whatever." And I basically just said, like, the worst someone can say is no. You have to be, you always have to ask, and the worst someone can say is no, and it'll help build your confidence. And yeah,
And get you, yeah, and get you to places that you didn't expect you'd be. And yeah, you're right. All you have to do is ask. And there's a lot of people in this community that really want to encourage and help and see people grow. And if somebody grows bigger than them, then that's still a great benefit. You still are able to watch somebody develop, and that means a lot to them. So, and yeah, anybody watching this today or this week, just, reach out to Tyson, reach out to Mike Seal, Natasha, Irismar, myself. We created the show, over a year ago, and it was so we could surround ourselves with awesome people coming on and giving us this insight, and we're learning. So
and giving back in the community, because knowledge is sharing, and that's what we do. And by bringing all of you, like, I kind of amazed that yes, you're 20, and I keep forget that, because I'm gonna be 41 this year, and it's like, not to compare, but it's like, oh my gosh, your journey to where we are and where we started is fast track, and that just not only motivates me, it inspires me. So I love that you shared your journey with us today, but also reminded us that you need to be curious, you have to ask questions, and don't be afraid of being told no.
right.
Because that's the worst thing that can happen. And so what? Then go to the next person and say no.
Yeah. Totally. Now that Irismar's revealed our age, so now, Tyson, you're a realtor. How long have you had your realtor license for?
Just over a year.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations. And how are you liking that?
Oh, I love it. Well, it was a big debate. I started my course when I was 18, and I was always like, well, I don't know if I want to do it, but it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, just because I love the industry and I love real estate as a whole. So why not also make it a career through being a realtor? So
Awesome.
very happy I did it.
And what's next for you, Tyson? What's in the plan?
Pipeline coming up.
So right now it's figuring out a resort. So it's a lot of work, what we have down in Curacao. So just kind of stabilizing it, getting it to where we want it to be before I grow. I'm big on, I guess, not over leveraging myself, and just kind of stabilizing, dealing with what I have, and then growing on from there.
That's a really good idea. We've been talking with our business partners this past week, and we're looking at everything that's on the board, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit too much going on right now. Let's trim some items here, and let's focus on things that we're going to knock out of the park, and then we can, focus
Come
on
back to those. Like, we're not saying eliminate them, right? It's just prioritize, keep them there, because there's a reason you wrote them down, right? But prioritize and then go back and revisit. So that's great that you bring in that perspective, because
now a resort in Curacao. This sounds, how big's this going to be? What's going on there? Is there going to be water slides and tiki bars or what?
So it's almost kind of like a boutique hotel. So it's 32 units. It has a full bar with bar food as well as a pool. But it's all kind of like Airbnb style. So, and then we're going to be adding more units as well. But right now it's just kind of getting that sorted out, making sure it's up and running properly, getting the guests in, fine tuning all the ads, making sure, we have good systems in place with cleaners and landscaping, pool maintenance, all that stuff. So that's my main focus right now, is kind of getting that all sorted and up and running and going, and then moving on to the next thing.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
sounds
Well,
great.
I can't tell you how happy we are to have you on this week. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to get to know you better. We definitely will stay in touch, please. And we'll come. And if you're ever in the Toronto area, please let us know so we can get together and we'll hang out.
Yes, for sure.
I'm 20 something. Irismar's 41.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey. I mean, you can see that I've been smiling the entire time, because it is just so inspiring. And I love it that not only you have the energy, that you make the time to give back, and that person, that young chap that follow you, and it's like, oh, I was afraid you would not make time. You just said you make time. So thank you for doing that, because sometimes you might lose track because you're too busy, but you're staying focused and just giving back.
Yeah, you forgot your question. Yeah.
But I'm telling him, I'm motivated, I'm inspired by him. So thank you. But no, I always ask our guests, if you were to recommend a book or a podcast that made a difference, or that you currently reading, go ahead.
So I'm sure someone's probably already said this before, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's my #1 book. I've read it several times. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all the way.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it is. And I'm glad you mentioned it because I think it's probably the first book a lot of investors should listen to before or when they're starting their journey. And you know, for us trying to communicate to the students that are on summer vacation right now, it's a perfect time to listen to that when you're on your bike ride or your jog or whatever you're doing, to get that one under wraps, because that's going to lead you into a journey of understanding real estate investing or thinking outside of the box investing.
100%.
Awesome, Tyson. Hope to see you soon, buddy.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you
Thank
everyone
you.
for watching. Have a great week. Be good to one another, and we'll see you next week.
Happy investing.
Tyson, you can stay on for a sec. We'll talk in just
Okay.
a moment.